So, hi, Tasha. Thank you so much for being a part of this summit. Realign your thoughts for women who want to exude confidence in every area of their life. So, I'm so excited to have you here. So, to get us started, let's introduce you. So, tell us who you are, what you do, and why you decided to be a part of this summit.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Tasha Wahl, and I am a mother and a wife. And I had this crazy idea to start a philanthropy called Butterfly Effect. And I started it, gosh, I think it's been almost 9 years ago, because I had a group of kids sitting around my house and they didn't know what tithe was. And so I had this idea and it blossomed and grew into this like huge movement that I had no idea it was going to happen. And I wanted to be part of this movement because I want to encourage other people to act on those small ideas. I think one of my favorite teachers, Paula Darcy, has a quote that says, God comes to us disguised as our life. And whatever your beliefs are about God or a higher power or love or whatever we want to call it, I just think I was living my regular life and this idea came to me. And I thought, I'm going to act on it. Like, it's not easy, but I'm going to act on it and see what happens. And I did. And I am so grateful that I did. And so I'm here to kind of tell that story. And hopefully, inside of my story would be encouragement for someone else to act on a small idea that they have, and that they would be bold and confident to go forth and move for them with whatever their creator has put on their heart to co-create.
Love that. Love that. Okay, so to get us started, what is confidence to you? What's your definition of confidence?
That's such a good question. I think confidence is knowing your intrinsic worth for who you actually are without anything that you do. I went to this really amazing retreat one time with a circle. It's a sacred number, like a circle of 12 people. And it was a week-long retreat. And one of the things that was so powerful to me was that we were not allowed to say at any time during that week what we did for our profession. It was who we were. And so I get to the end of the week and the leader said, if you want to share with people what you do, you can, but you don't have to. And I realized that it was the very first time in my life that I hadn't categorized people and put them into a box. I didn't know, like, for some reason, my brain just wants to categorize people. And all I knew was who these people were. Like, because I had known their heart over the week, had nothing to do with what they did. It was just who they were. And that was such a beautiful experience for me. So for me, confidence is knowing who I am outside of what I do. I'm a human being, not a human doing.
Yes. So it's really who you are outside the box. So who
Yes.
you're labeled as,
Yes, I am.
that's not who you're worth. But it's
Yes.
what you do and what you say.
Yes. Okay. Because this is live and real, I'm going to pause for 1 second. I got to put my dogs out because they're barking because the gardener is here. So real life.
This is real life. Go right ahead.
Let's go. Come on, Chloe. Let's go. There you go. Good job. Okay. All right. There's my real life. Okay.
There you go. Love that. Love that. So based on the definition that you've given, would you consider yourself as somebody who is confident, and why?
Today, right now, in this moment, I am. Partly because you asked me to do this. So I think that when we see intrinsic worth in others and we witness it, then we are then in turn giving them the ability to also be confident. And so, but I'm going to be like perfectly honest and say, maybe yesterday afternoon, I wasn't feeling so confident. And so I think confidence ebbs and flows. I think when we're our truest selves, when we're totally grounded, maybe you've had a great meditation session or yoga, or you went for a long run, or you just had a really connected conversation with somebody. We feel that sense of confidence. And I think we always have access to it. But it's hard for me to stay there all the time. But I do feel like the older that I've gotten, the more confident I've gotten. And that's a beauty that age, I feel like, has given me that I wasn't expecting. I think people dread getting older, and I am here to tell you getting older is the best. It is amazing. I love being older. I worry so much less than I used to, about little things that I thought mattered. And I think I know who I am. And that's not to say that I don't get my feelings hurt, that my husband can't, if he doesn't pay enough attention. Like I know who I am, but I feel like the older I get, I realize that so much of that just comes from me.
So I think it's really powerful that you said that you, even though confidence is fleeting, ebbs and flows, but you always have access to it. And so I
Always,
think,
yeah,
yeah,
always have
sometimes we think
access.
it should be confidence remains the same at all times, but it doesn't. And that's okay because it's always inside, it's always there.
Yeah, very well said. I think we have access to it whenever we slow down enough to get grounded and know like who we are, not what people think of us or what award we just won or whatever.
Mm. So let me ask this question. Do you think there's a definition for business confidence?
Yes. And there I think it's a little bit different. So I have my own business outside of the foundation that I run, which is how you found me through Butterfly Effect. But my husband and I have had our own business for 20 years. And there I exude a very different kind of confidence. I think that kind of confidence. So we're talking about like being in this world, but not of this world, with the other kind of confidence. Like that's just who you are. But then as you go out into the world, and if you're going to play the game, you have to know what needs to be done to play the game right. So confidence, and particularly for women, is I think a really unique thing that we need to think about, because oftentimes we're playing the game in a world that was created for really white privileged men. And the game was created for them. The game was created also for people of privilege. And I think that as women, we have this like intrinsic understanding of the power that we hold within us. We create life, we create connection, we create relationships with other people. Like our bodies can do amazing things. Just think about our cycles. And like, I mean, we know that, again, we have access to it. But in a work situation, I've personally found myself feeling not seen, not heard. My voice gets kind of quiet. My shoulders go down. I just find myself like not feeling important. But I realize that that's because I'm allowing someone else to mirror something back to me. And it may not even be true. So for me, confidence in business is really knowing my why, knowing what I'm doing and why I'm there, and understanding that the outcome of what I'm trying to get, if I'm trying to make a sale, if I'm trying to connect with somebody so that there's future business there, it's not really the outcome. It can't be transactional. It can't be about money. It can't be about a sale. It has to be more about the relationships. And I think as women, we know that that is the most important thing, is relationships that we have with other people. So to me, confidence in business means that I know that whether or not I'm going to make that sale, whether or not I'm going to book this event, whether or not people buy enough of our books to put us on the bestseller list, like we created those things so that we would connect with other people. We're speakers because we want to connect with people, not because I want an award for it, or I want to have people say, or I don't know, say something about me or talk about me or have a good reputation. It's like, if my work is my relationships, then that's all that kind of really matters. And if I go in with that kind of confidence, because I know I'm good at relationships, and I go in with that, it changes everything. So a great business acumen for us has been like, may this business, and I'm careful with the word bless because I feel like there's connotations with it, but may it enhance the people around us, and the people who work for us and the people that we touch. Like if that's my goal, then I can be super confident in that.
And so what I hear and correct me if I'm wrong, is that for you, business confidence is just authentic connections.
Yes. Yep. You say it so succinctly. Yeah.
You said it so well, though. You said it so well.
Well, thank you. But I do agree. It is just authentic human connections. Yeah, exactly.
So, what has helped you to exude confidence in your professional and your personal life?
Yeah. Really, my CFO is, she helped build me up. She is a confident woman and she's confident in the business world. And she's just one of those women that she just blows me away. Like she just doesn't care what other people think. And I think I spent the first 30 years of my life really caring what other people thought. And she saw in me the me that I could be. And she would say that to me and remind me. She's like, you paid for this. You go, we were doing a film one time and I knew, like I was watching what was happening and I knew that it was wrong. And I just felt like it was men directors. It was all men that were like running the whole thing. They had written it. And I knew it wasn't being filmed the right way. And she said, you paid for it, like get in there and you tell them what you think. Like you are the producer, you're the executive producer, get out there and say it. And I think having somebody else in my life reminding me like who I could be, she just believed in the me that I was before I was actually there. And so I think that is having other women see me, hear me, reflect back to me who I could be has made me more confident. And so I'd have to say again, it's those authentic relationships, those people that I trusted that helped build me up until I was actually ready to fly. They believed in me before I did.
So it went back to relationships.
Yeah.
having that connection. It is centered around that. I know you gave somewhat of an experience here, but would you be willing to share an additional experience of when maybe you felt or you didn't feel as confident, and if you were able to push through that and how?
Yeah. There's so many to choose from. I think as a producer, I am often on the AV side. I'm behind the scenes with mainly men. And I need to be able to say like the sound needs to be up, the lights need to change, this needs to happen. I need to let them know what's happening. And I think that I would say it, and like literally the guy next to me running the lights doesn't pump the lights up or doesn't pump up the sound. They just didn't hear me. And then it made me feel smaller and my voice got smaller and softer. And then I just was so embarrassed. I just felt like maybe I'm not doing it right. Like I really second guessed myself. And then I watched another female show producer just like go right in there, say what she wanted, take charge, just like I would as a mom. Like I would just go in and run everything. And I just watched her go in with this like level of confidence. And I realized, oh my gosh, I can do that. Like it has nothing, I'm the one that held me back. The men that were there, it had nothing to do with them. It had to do with my lack of confidence that made me feel small and vulnerable. And then I get like, I think a lot of us probably do this, you want to blame it on something else. Like you just, they just don't listen. They don't listen to women. Women aren't here. Women can't. And I think like I wanted it to be, and I'd said that like out loud to people a few times. And I think that really in the end, I needed to like be able to see me and see kind of, I was believing a story and a script that wasn't true. I just talked myself into it. And so it took me seeing somebody else handling the situation differently to know that I could also do that too. And it took me many years to get to the point. And then also I realized, I don't love that piece of being behind the scenes. It wasn't a great place for me. And I think I tend to be one of those women or humans that I think if I don't do it, it's not going to get done the right way. Like I have a very high capacity. I like, if you need stuff done, like you just let me know. If there's a problem to be solved, like you just let me know. So I put myself in the position where I'm often doing things that aren't actually my gifts. So the other thing that I had to get real clear with myself on is that actually that behind the scenes, like that's not where I wanted to be. I wanted to be out in the front again, for me, building relationship with clients, doing the back end, listening to people's stories, asking them about their lives. I didn't want to be doing the technical stuff in the back. So part of it was getting clear with myself about that. I'm not confident because I'm putting myself in a position that isn't my gifting. And so getting clear with myself on that as well also was really helpful. And then another thing that I would share is that when I was growing up, I was a gymnast and a dancer, and I had an eating disorder. And not more, it was more like a body dysmorphia. Like I would look at myself and I would see something that literally wasn't true. And I think that so many of us struggle with that because we're comparing ourselves to other women. We are comparing, I mean, and especially with social media, I mean, it's just incessant, whether you're looking, or like I go to the grocery store and I'm just waiting in the checkout line and there's these magazines with these like women that I don't even know if they're real, like how much of it is CGI'd and photoshopped and whatever. And I somehow like along the way bought into this idea that like, that's what I was supposed to be like. That's what I was supposed to look like. And it took me a lot of work to get to the place where I realized that I want to embrace who I am as I am and love myself for who I am as I am. And that has been a huge growth process. I'm 51, I'm going to be 52 in a few months. And I wasted so much of my life being worried about the size of my thighs, or like comparing my thighs to somebody else's or to my thighs, like when I was 25, like whatever. That's so ridiculous. And I think so much of our confidence is wrapped up in how we see ourselves. We look in the mirror and we see something and we either expect that person to be, and you're not quite there yet because you're still so young, but like I still like in my head, I'm still 24. So I look in the mirror and I'm like, whoa, where's my 24-year-old self? But I heard this quote that I love. It says, "Today is the youngest that I'll ever be." And I thought, oh my gosh, like that's how I want to go forth in confidence, because I don't want 10 years from now to say that quote, like youth is wasted on the young. Like I want to be fully present in who I am and know that like what I'm bringing to the table. And so much again is like what we look like outwardly, but when on the inside, like this is the youngest I'll ever be. It's the most clear I'll ever be. Like I become confident in that, just knowing like, what would I want my 16, 17, 25, 45-year-old self to know? And that's what I think part of aging for me has been so beautiful. It's like letting go of all those like agreements that I used to agree with. And I still catch myself and I'll look in the mirror and think, and I'm like, wait, no, we don't believe in that anymore. Like, remember, like, this is who you are in the present. So sorry, that was probably, I just think that's important because body image is such a huge, or like comparing ourselves to other women is such a huge part of our confidence these days, because the media tells us that. Like, who said the media could be in charge? And when I agree with the media, I'm allowing them to do that.
I totally appreciate you saying that and spending some time on that, because it really is. Sometimes we lack that confidence, and like you said, we want to blame it on others when really it's us. If we just need to go into a way of being, stop trying to do and just be. Just be.
Yeah.
So you mentioned second guessing. So when you get to the point where you are second guessing, where those negative thoughts are coming in and you're having that self-doubt, what do you do, or what do you say to yourself to realign your thoughts so that you can begin to regain your confidence?
Such a great question. A lot of times for me, I need to stop and like ground myself. So there's a really amazing teacher. His name is Richard Rohr, and he talks about there's those moments in life where you're so unconscious. So like say something happens and it triggers you and you start spinning into this like self-doubt, right? Or this self-loathing. And you're so in it that like, let's say you're in a river and you went over the waterfall, like you're just over the waterfall because this thing triggered you and you're just gone. Like nothing can stop you. The river is raging. But Richard says that as we get older and more able to be in the present moment and conscious, we can stop, recognize the emotion. Like, oh, I'm having an emotion. This thing happened. It triggered me like it always does. And you like literally wave yourself off the waterfall. You're like, goodbye. But at least you know it's happening. Like, you know that you're going. And I think for me, so often, if I can like stop and say, I'm having an emotion. I'm having an emotion. Okay. And something really scary could have happened. I mean, you don't become triggered by things if you didn't have something in the first place that caused that to happen. We all have our traumas. But I think if I can like ground myself, remember where I am, even just like literally look around the room, it's called orienting. Like I see a butterfly because I have butterflies all over the place on my window, and I see my paintings and I'm like, okay, I'm here. I at least remind myself like where I'm at. And so that can ground me. The other thing is my meditation practice, like it grounds me in the morning. And if I can access, for me, it's love and my creator in the morning, just like quietly sitting there. I know that again, just like confidence, I always have access to that center of me. So just taking a breath and like recognizing where I am sometimes can help me, at least my body's still having a physical manifestation of the fear, but at least I know it. And if you know it, you can grab onto that. Like you just have to be consciously aware of it.
Yeah. So awareness is the big key. It's
Yes.
getting awareness and then becoming around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think that's almost the end of our interview, Tasha. Do you have any final thoughts before we close out?
Well, first of all, thank you for doing this, for coming up with this idea that I'm sure you were kind of like, I don't know what this crazy idea is, but I got to latch onto it and do it. So thank you for saying yes to whatever it is that nudged you to do it. And I just would like to encourage everyone who's watching, because I think everyone that's watching is also taking a chance. There was a nudge to pay attention and take part of this movement and say, I want something to change. Like something needs to change, something needs to move, and I want to be a part of that. So I encourage each of you to look inside yourselves and find what that thing is that called you. And then also just reflect back out to other women in your life, like who they are, because I think so many times, if it weren't for our sisters, like, and I mean sisters, like brothers and sisters of the world, I think we have to lift each other up and hold each other up. And there have been so many times where I couldn't do it myself and someone else did it for me. And I think we're here to midwife each other into the beauty that we actually can be. So I just want to encourage you, like, stop after this, write a letter to somebody, write them a note or pick up the phone or call someone and just affirm who you see them to be. I think you'd be so surprised that whoever comes to mind right now is who really needs it. So I would just encourage people to do that.
Tasha, thank you so much. It has been an absolute joy talking to you. And I'm always in gratitude when people share of themselves and of their time. So thank you again. I truly enjoyed it.
You're so welcome. I love the word joy. Thank you. Take joy. I love that. And thank you so much for being the change that you want to see in the world. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste.